Being a master in your profession, in your career, whatever that is, whatever you choose to go into, is perhaps the greatest task ahead of you in life.
Your life's task, as I call it, is to return to those inclinations and to that uniqueness that marked each and every one of you at birth. At whatever age you find yourself, you must reflect back upon those earliest inclinations. You must look at those subjects in the present that continue to spark that childlike, intense curiosity in you. And you must look at those subjects and activities that you've been forced to do over the past few years that repel you, that have no emotional resonance. Based on these reflections, you determine a direction you must take: writing, or music, or a particular branch of science, or a form of business or public service.
You're never going to have anything successful in life if you're just copying what other people are doing. So you have to be willing to be original, to be weird, and to go out on a limb and to express your true feelings and what's really going on inside of you. So if you listen too much to what other people are telling you, your work will just be a pale imitation of what the latest meme is on social media. It'll have no originality to it, and it'll die very quickly. On the other hand, if you just care about your own thoughts and ideas and you have no objective voice, nobody who can say this is good or bad, you're just going to write like a schizophrenic, like a madman. So you need a balance. You need people you trust in your life who can give you honest feedback and say this is good or this is crap. But you also have to have confidence in your own voice and say, I don't care what they're saying on social media. I know this is great. Other people have said as well. And I'm just going to be a rebel. I'm just going to stand by what I say and put it out there.
You can fake your way when you're in your 20s and 30s because you're young, life's exciting, you can make money, can be sort of a motivating factor. But what happens is you're less and less engaged in your work. You're not connected deeply. You're kind of bored. You're not paying deep attention. You're sort of skating by. And by your late 30s, it starts to catch up with you. And people are coming up who are younger than you, who are handsomer, who are less expensive. They replace you. You're downsized. You're out of a job. And suddenly you don't have the skills to adapt because you didn't really follow something you were meant to follow. So you're afraid of leaving this job that you have because you got a good paycheck and you don't want to experiment now and you don't want to try something that might be more suited to you, but God knows where your paycheck is going to come from. But I'm telling you, you have more to fear 10 years, 20 years down the line if you're in a field that doesn't excite you. Because we live in a world now where things are changing so quickly. Your career path is really altering. You're not going to be working at the same place for very long. And once your career changes and there's shifts going on in the world, you're going to be screwed because you don't know how to adjust. You're doing something that you don't love. You should be afraid of that. That's what you should be afraid of, what's going to happen to you in 10 years. Don't worry now about the paycheck in 2 years. Money will come to you if you follow what you love. I compare this uniqueness that each one of you has to a voice that's inside of your head. It's telling you, you should be doing this, you should be doing this. It's what fits you, it's what you're good at. But what happens with all of us as you get older is that voice gets weaker and weaker. You listen to your parents who say you need to be a doctor or a lawyer, you need to worry about making money, You listen to peers who are saying, this is a cool job, this is the kind of profession you should be going into. You start thinking in terms of what really matters is I have to be comfortable, I have to look for a position that's comfortable. To the point where you could graduate from college, you could be in your early 20s, and you have no idea who you are. That voice is totally drowned out. And you end up going on a career path that seems right. You're going to make money. It's all, everything's figured out. And in your 20s, you can kind of fake your way through it because you're young, you're energetic, you're smart and everything. But what ends up happening as you get older is you're not so engaged with that subject. You're not learning it as deeply as other people. You're not really focusing as much as you can. And by the 40s, something very dangerous can happen. You could be made redundant. Someone else comes along who's younger and cheaper than you. And now you're pretty much screwed because you haven't built up the skills that you needed to build up to adjust your career.
You want to look for the job that offers you the most possibilities of learning. So if you're going to go to a florist shop where there's only one other person there, it's like an entrepreneur who started it, and you're going to be like their right-hand man or woman, and you're going to learn, and the pay is half of what you could get working at the shop at some department store where they'd pay you triple. Take the job that pays 1/3, where you're going to learn the most, you're going to learn about the business, you're going to learn from the ground up. There's going to be a level of excitement. A lot of people, when they're 23, they grab the job with the biggest paycheck. And that's a mistake, because if you go to a large firm, you're kind of lost. You don't have as much responsibility. You suddenly have to deal with all the political games, the 48 laws of power. You're not developing skills as much. You don't have as much responsibility. Take the job that has 1/2 the salary, but you're responsible. You're going to be learning. That's the most important thing you can do when you're at that point in your life.
Your mentor is a stepping stone. You're using them. Let's just be honest about it. It's not about love or just respect or this sort of ideal relationship. You are using this person to get a shortcut to mastery. They're teaching you in condensed form. You're able to learn from them to avoid mistakes that you would be making otherwise on your own. And so you are using them to get as quick an education as possible in whatever you're doing. On the one hand, you want to respect your mentor, you want to learn as much as possible, but you don't want to be too slavish. You don't want to think they're God and I'm just there to learn everything that they do and I'm going to be an imitation of them. You're using them, and eventually you have to carve out declare your own independence and move out on your own.
In conquering something, in learning a skill, you have to do it over and over and over and over again. And if you just are in the moment, you're just frustrated and you're bored, you're going to give up. But if your attention is, this is going to give me so much rewards, then you're looking 3 months down the road, and then it's not boring. It's a challenge, and you know that eventually you're going to be playing chess like a grandmaster. It's going to be fun, more fun than any video game that anybody could ever invent. So that's the key thing is do you have that pattern early in your life where you understand that boredom and tedium is actually something to overcome, and when you overcome it, amazing things will happen.
The number one commodity that you want that's going to make you a master is creativity. If you're a creative thinker, I don't care if you're working at Subway or wherever, you're going to end up at a great place. The only people that ever get to that point who are the true masters who we know, and it doesn't mean you have to reach the Steve Jobs level, there are a lot of mini Steve Jobs out there, is by being yourself. If there are 50 other people like you out in the world, why you? Somebody else can do what you do, and so you're never going to be great. You're never going to be brilliant. But if there's only one you, if you have a skill, a knowledge base, you've learned 3 different fields and you're combining them, and there's nobody else like you, then you've written your own ticket to power and success because you're unreplaceable.
You've got to know what you don't like. I remember when I was about 24, I was a journalist living in New York, and I had written this article about traveling through Italy. I thought it was a great article. And the editor wanted to have lunch with me. I thought, oh, great, he's going to praise this article. He brought me in. She started telling me, Robert, you're never going to be a writer. You need to find some other career in your life. You need to go to law school. Just forget it. You don't have the tools. Your writing is all over the place. My reaction, of course, initially I was a little bit upset. Eventually I said, no, that's not true. What is true is that I'm not made for journalism. I know what I don't like. I don't like journalism. I don't like working in large corporations. I don't like the politics that is involved with 20 or 30 people. I need to work for myself.
Children have that natural inclination. I know for me, I felt connected to words and writing when I was very, very, very young. And the education system ruins it. It makes you so distracted. You lose that confidence. You no longer are able to hear that voice. I call it a voice that's inside of you, that's drawing you towards this particular subject. People, teachers, the system is saying, you need to study math, you need to study this, you need to study that, be good at this, this, and this, pass tests, get into the right school. And you get to the point where you're 18, 19, 20 years old, and you lose touch with who you are, what makes you different, what makes you unique, what you love in life. So really, when you get out of school, it's like get rid of all that crap they put you in and try and get in touch with who you are and create a career path for yourself that suits who you are. I want you to get over this notion that I find so annoying that so many people have, that success and power in life is dependent on something like genetics. Like some people are born with a larger brain, or they have wealthy parents who are able to send them to the right school, or it's all a matter of luck. What really makes people successful and powerful in life, and it's not just me saying this, I read hundreds of books on the subject, what makes people successful is their degree of motivation. Okay, I could repeat it 100 times, but it's true every time I say it. When you are motivated, when you feel yourself emotionally engaged in the subject, you learn faster. You learn what could take somebody 10 years to learn, you can learn in 2 years. When you feel emotionally engaged with something, you're able to push past all the obstacles.